Hello indie game fans, as someone who loves Metroidvanias, I always love to take a look at what's coming out, so here are 10 more titles that have at least a tentative 2021 release window, not previously covered in my last video, so do check that out before you yell at me for missing any game. We begin with the grimdark fairy tale entry Slavania, last seen in my video covering the Steam Game Festival, which you might have missed, where, from the developer, it seems to be based on Slavic myths. You play as a warrior that cannot die, wielding a magic spear which compels him to hunt down monsters. It does seem to be like The Witcher, where you're hunting down these creatures, but interestingly, bosses in this game don't wait around for you in their lair, but will instead hunt you down. This aspect makes it quite the interesting prospect and is certainly one to watch. I have a healthy respect for any developer that tries to use a 1-bit pixel art style since it's difficult to get right, but Astronite does look to be of interest, not as low res as something like Gato Roboto, but looks fun all the same. You're playing as a spaceman-like character, exploring a planet filled with strange creatures, and does have a little bit of a Metroid vibe, so fingers crossed this will turn out well. Rune Fencer Illyia has been on my watch list and missed out on the previous video for the sake of variety, so here it is, and we did get a new trailer as well. You play as a child who survives an airship crash and is lost in a mysterious world, having to battle through enemies to find and save your sister. While the pixel art isn't exactly high-bit, it does look good in motion, where the combat in particular looks fantastic, and add to that a variety of magic powers like freezing time and interesting biomes and environments, and you do have my attention. I can see a little bit of Hollow Knight in this, which will perhaps be true for any dark Metroidvania entry from now on until the end of time, but awesome entry which I cannot wait to play. For something a little different, Fantasy Network self-described as a Metroidvania with a social media twist, so a social-vania so to speak, but it's a fully single-player experience so you don't need to worry, with the in-game fake social media being what they're referring to. Interesting, vibrant art style, and it's always nice to see variety in settings for this genre, which makes it of interest. Another title that has been a long time coming is Recompile, perhaps controversially in this list, since while it does have areas locked behind traversal abilities, it's not a side-scroller, which some people think is a necessary component of this genre. Putting semantics aside, a gorgeous looking title taking place within the mainframe, play as a program desperately trying to escape deletion, with the associated cyberspace motif and enemies being done quite nicely. Since it has been such a long time coming, I do think that it stands a good chance of finally releasing this year. I'll admit, I was not very impressed with the look of Aeterna Noctis when it had its Kickstarter campaign, with the wispy characters not catching my eye at all, but talk about a glam up. In the months following the Kickstarter campaign, this developer has been hard at work, completely overhauling the visuals, and now that's what I call an eye-catching look. You play as the King of Darkness, cursed to forever be in conflict with the Queen of Light due to the capricious nature of chaos, where you must regain your powers and once again do battle. Love the use of lighting and particle effects, so this gets a spot. When you talk about long dormant titles, you have to mention Ghost Song, which has been a very long time coming, and I've noticed that its release date was recently changed to 2021, where I swear it was TBA for the longest time. This developer appears to be more active on Twitter, where this footage is copped directly from their YouTube channel, so do excuse the lack of a proper trailer, but it does show off the gameplay. Still looks good and of interest, having a mysterious alien planet to explore, so fingers crossed we get more news soon and this turns out well. Similarly, 9 Years of Shadows did get a glam up as well, moving from this in the Kickstarter footage to this from their latest video. You play as a halberd-wielding young woman who has to restore colour to the world, which is not exactly the first thing that I would have thought of for the plot of this game, but sweet action makes it of interest. Our heroine has a companion who has ranged attacks, and she can equip a variety of armors from Helios, Gaia and Poseidon, bending fire, earth and water to your will, so interesting to see how this feeds into the Metroidvania exploration. Oh, and how can I forget? Absolutely love the pixel art, being one of the most striking and vibrant for games in development, getting it a high spot on the list. The very anime entry Frontier Hunter, Urza's Wheel of Fortune is of note since developer Aeterna made a fantastic roguelike platformer in Tower Hunter, Urza's Trial, and have now turned their attention to the Metroidvania, so I'm excited to see what they do. It leans more on the Castlevania or Bloodstained end of things, having more RPG-like systems like stats and equipment, and there are 3 playable characters that you can switch between, which gives it an interesting structure. While I'm not the biggest fan of the 2.5D look, Bloodstained Ritual of the Night has shown me that you can have a great Metroidvania in spite of it, so this gets a pass, with the characters interestingly having a little bit of a Genshin Impact look. However, this does what I find very weird for this genre in that it will be an early access title, but based on how titles like Ender Lilies or Elite in Wonder Labyrinth are going, I think that this should turn out well, taking the number 1 spot. For more upcoming Metroidvania entries, check out this video right here to find out what I'm very excited about, and I'll see you after the jump.